Howdy folks, I bet you're wondering what would happen if I wanted a vehicle that could go over 100,000 miles or 200,000 miles.
Or Nathan, 300,000 miles.
That's right. And so what we wanted to do is show you a few vehicles right here at the auction that actually have gone past that point, because it's possible that they may be the most robust, reliable vehicles out there. And yes, one of them is not a Toyota.
That is right. We are starting with oh gosh, I'm breaking it as I lean on it, the Subaru Legacy. And I know many of you may be thinking the immediately thought that pops into your head, which is, well, of course it's going to blow its head gasket. Not this one. Now, most Subarus come with a 2.5 liter Boxer 4 engine, but this one didn't. This came with their more basic 2.2 liter Boxer 4 engine.
Yeah, the EJ22 is known for being one of the more reliable Subaru engines out there. As a matter of fact, this powertrain in this vehicle, 320,000 miles. Now, we don't know for sure whether or not this has been replaced or completely reworked. However, if you go online and do a little bit of research, you'll find that these powertrains do last a really long time when they're properly taken care of. And there are a few reasons for that. We'll get over that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, you know, we're talking about something that doesn't produce a lot of power, about 130 horsepower, 138 pound-feet of torque. But if you get this with the combination of the 5-speed manual transmission and you treat it well, it can last a long time. It's always weird getting into a car that has frameless windows.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I forgot that about these earlier Legacies. But, you know, I had one of these for about 2 years when I first moved out here from Chicago, because I just wanted a stupid, cheap, all-wheel drive vehicle. And I figured, I'm like, well, everybody else is driving a Subaru, so I might as well get a Subaru.
Did it have the 2.2 or the 2.5?
Mine had the 2.2. Mine was actually just like this, with a manual transmission and the wagon, except it was gold.
Huh, okay.
But it was otherwise identical. So I'm pretty familiar with these, and I kind of like them. I mean, they're nothing exciting to drive, but if you just want basic transportation that's good in the snow and big enough to fit all of your stuff, the Legacy wagon is just, it fits the bill.
These things were really strong, and they even are, by today's standards, relatively safe. There's a funny thing about these in Colorado, which is you always know a college kid who's local because the ski rack on the roof is worth more than the car beneath it. And that tends to be these.
Let's see how fast this thing accelerates after 320,000 miles. That is floored.
Feels about right.
Yeah. They aren't fast by any means, and
no.
In fact, they're properly slow, honestly. But
no, but that is one of, see, I was going to mention this. One of the reasons why some people, and this is all internet stuff, okay, I have not spoken to any mechanics directly about this particular one, but that's an interesting sound. But that's steering.
Yeah, it's definitely got something rubbing against the tire.
Yeah, a little bit. But these cars are known as being relatively mellow, and they don't heat up as much, and they don't warp as much, and they have less problems with head gaskets and valve cover gaskets. And as long as they have oil in them, they tend to not, seize. So there are a lot of reasons why these old 2.2s were considered to be some of the best engines that Subaru built in terms of reliability.
Yeah, I think these are just really good, solid vehicles. I mean, the fact that this thing made it 320,000 miles, granted, it's got a check engine light on it, and it's running a little bit rough.
A little.
Yeah, I don't know that I would go and buy this one, but if you find one of these with 200,000 miles on it, and it's been properly maintained, it's going to be a good little vehicle for you, especially how little money you pay for it.
That is a really good point. All right, this is the first of our Toyotas. Here we go.
Yeah, so this is the 4Runner, and it's not just any 4Runner. This is a pretty cool one because most 4Runners were built with a V6, right? But this generation got something a little extra special under the hood.
Right, so you had an option to get the 4.7 liter V8, and they're becoming more and more popular because people are realizing that these are known to be bulletproof. This one has around, 340,000 miles on it.
Yep, and
right?
It's here in the running section, which means that it does run and drive. I mean, yeah, it's a little rough. It's got some old clear bra. It's got a little rust on the back, but it's a running and driving Toyota 4x4 off-roader with a V8 engine, and I'll bet because of the miles, this thing's going to go for stupid cheap.
I would agree with you. Let's check it out. Let's see what it's like inside.
Yeah. Oh.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah, I don't...
Damn!
That's got some staying power. I'm hoping that my shirt doesn't stink for the rest of the day now, Nathan.
I'm going to be through my mouth for a little while, so...
Maybe we should find something else with the 4.7 V8.
We have one other option. Yes.
Okay.
Let's look at that.
So Nathan, another option with that same 4.7 liter V8 is the bigger brother to the 4Runner, the Sequoia.
That's right. Now this one has just a little tiny bit of rust, but this is going to an aftermarket component, so I'm not going to count that. But what I will say is that this has basically a very similar powertrain with that 4Runner. However, this one, in this vehicle, it is known as being bulletproof.
Didn't you have a podcast a while back where you called this the most reliable vehicle of all time?
Indeed we did. And I still maintain that if you want one of the most reliable vehicles out there, this is one of the ones to buy. This one, how many miles does it have?
386,000, so almost 400,000 miles on this guy.
Crazy. Wait until you hear the way the engine sounds. It's actually kind of remarkable.
So hiding under the hood of all these first-gen Sequoias is this 4.7 liter I-Force V8 engine.
It's the 2UZFG, very first generation of these engines. So, wow, this is really clean.
This is surprisingly nice.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Someone really cared for this vehicle.
I think so. I mean, the outside's a little rough, but just a bit of rust. But here's the good news. These powertrains, now granted, the first gen, very first gen, only put out around 240 horsepower. And then progressively, as they were built up, the 4.7s had the VVTi that came out a little bit later on, and those put out a lot more horsepower. But in this particular version, these are known as being extremely reliable, possibly because they are very relaxed. Not a lot of strain.
I mean, that is the general rule, right? If you have a big, lumpy V8, think of some of the old American classics like the Panther platforms or like the GM 5.3 liter LS V8s. Those are known to be underpowered, but they also just last forever because they're just so under stress. And I think this carries that same torch.
Bear in mind that this does have the 4-speed automatic transmission. So between that and its horsepower and the fact that this thing weighs as much as a small moon, it's not going to get great mileage.
Well, let's take it out for a spin and see how this old bird drives.
All right. Fire, prep you up.
So, truth be told, during this whole filming session, we've been kind of using this vehicle as the vehicle to get us around a lot because, in all honesty, it's pretty nice. I mean, yeah, the outside's a little bit on the rough side, you know, it's got some paint peeling off of it and it's got a little bit of rust, but it drives great. The interior doesn't smell nasty. It's in decent shape on the inside. This is a surprisingly nice vehicle.
Here's the funny thing. Every once in a while when we come to these events, I've been working at wrecking yards most of my life. You've been doing a lot of this stuff. We've combined have decades of driving really bad cars, and this isn't one of them. No. This thing drives super quiet. I can't even hear the engine. Shifting has been perfect, and we've been going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. The brakes work quite well. The steering seems to be normal. Doesn't feel like there's anything wrong with it. For a vehicle with this many miles on it, I am stunned. Not to mention the fact that that engine bay looked like I could eat off it.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing to consider too. When you're going out and buying a vehicle anytime, right? Mm-hmm. You want to consider depreciation. As you own it, as you rack up more miles on it, it's going to become worth less. At 386,000 miles, you're really not going to be worth any less. So you could, in theory, buy this, drive it around, put 100,000 miles on it, and I would venture to say it might even be worth a little bit more when you're done with it.
I know, once you pass that 500,000 mark, I wonder if you get like special notoriety. Right. I know that with certain trucks you do, and even with TFL truck. All right, let's see if this thing can actually accelerate. We haven't really pushed it that hard in that respect. And I'm not going to go too crazy because I honestly do not know the state of these tires.
Sure. Brakes seem to work okay.
Brakes will work fine. I hit them earlier. Here we go.
Hey, that's not bad. You know, for as big and heavy as this is, and for as little power as that motor puts out, it moves okay.
I would consider owning this just to turn it into something cool like Overlander or something like that for the amount of money this is going to go for, because it's not going to go for much.
No, it's not. And here's the truth of the matter, right? Land Cruisers have shot up in value because of their off-roading capability and the reliability.
Sure.
4Runners hold their value super well because of their reliability and their capability. But everyone seems to forget about the Sequoias.
I agree 100%. And I've said it before, and partially joking, but actually I'm not completely joking. This is a fat Land Cruiser. It is. It's got some of the same components that the Land Cruiser has, and this powertrain, you're just not going to go wrong with it. You're not.
No, I think this is the win of the episode. Absolutely. This is the one of all of them that I would buy hands down. I wouldn't care how many miles are on it, as long as it's maintained properly and it seems to run good, which this one seems to, I would buy it.
We agree. We just agree. There it is. So there you go, folks. Buying yourself a partially handmade vehicle may be the way to go for ultimate longevity.
Well, and that and simplicity, right? You want something that doesn't have cylinder deactivation, doesn't have a lot of high-tech features, something that is very simple and not a lot to go wrong with it.
That's right. Now, for those of you who are curious, we don't expect this to go for more than, say, a few grand, right? Like, what, $3,000 maybe?
Maybe $3,000 here at a dealer auction. I would venture to say it could go even as low as $2,000. That Subaru, on the other hand, that's like a $500 car. We didn't really mention this on camera, but, well, it was running rough. I had the check engine light and was, towards the end of filming, overheating a little bit. So I wouldn't buy that one, and maybe that's not the best example to use. However, I know there are good ones out there because I've seen them myself and I've personally owned them. The 4Runner, on the other hand, I have no idea. I feel bad for whoever has to drive that thing across the auction.
Woo, yeah. So, guys, let us know what you think. I personally think that this is going to be the steal of the century. This thing runs like a top. I'm really impressed. Just get rid of a couple little rusty bits, and you're good to go.
Yeah. All right. And for everything else, check out all TFL. This has been Brendan, Nathan, and Cole behind the camera. Take care, guys. This thing is overheating.
Okay, actually, we should probably put it back.
Yeah.